Taking the free out of freeway, a proposal to make toll roads out of Toronto's two busiest traffic arteries is unveiled by the city's mayor. And we're going to come at this issue from both directions. Sarah Thompson is the CEO of Transit Alliance, and she is with me in the studio. And in the town of Ajax, just east of Toronto, I'm joined by Roger Anderson. He is the chair of the Regional Municipality of Durham. Hello to you both. Sarah, first of all, you've been pushing for toll highways for years.
Since 2010, that's
Since
right.
2010, so
yes.
For a while now. So why do you think toll highways is the right way to go?
Well, on the DVP and Gardner, 40% of the use is by people from out of the city. They come in and out of the city. They don't pay to maintain it. They don't pay any upkeep. I think this gives them a chance to say, we need to do something about the gridlock we're suffering in every single day. And so they can then pay in to help pay directly, and Mayor Tory said that today, directly into a transit fund that will pay to build the transit that we need.
So Roger, why do you think this is a bad idea?
Well, listen, first of all, I want to be clear. I have no objections to the City of Toronto trying to raise revenue. We know the fiscal situation they're in. But the fact is, this isn't a Toronto tax. This is a 905, 705 tax. It's a tax anybody but the residents of Toronto.
No, the residents of Toronto do pay the tax.
Sarah, I didn't interrupt you.
Okay.
It's very clear that this is a tax that'll be borne by the people outside of the City of Toronto mostly. And, Toronto has revenue tools that no other municipality in the province of Ontario has at its options. And they've never really looked at them.
Mm-hmm. And so
Look, it's only 40% of those people who use the DVP every single day, use the Gardner. It's only those people, so it's not borne by the regions. We're saying we'll pay too. There are people in Toronto, 60% of the users of the DVP and the Gardner are from Toronto. So we're saying, no, we just have to work together as a region to pay for the transit we need.
Okay, so Roger, just for 1 second, I just want to read what the chief city planner in Toronto, Jennifer Keesmaat, this is what she tweeted. She said, those who drive and drive the most have the highest incomes, and yet road use is subsidized much more heavily than transit. So what would you say to that, Roger, that the people that are driving, frankly, could pay a little more and they can afford to pay a little more?
Well, I think what Toronto's missing is if revenue was an issue and if roads and traffic were an issue, Toronto would have spent considerably more time over the last 30 years keeping the infrastructure they have, like the Gardner Expressway and the Don Valley Parkway, in a way that doesn't need to have billions of dollars spent on it over the next few years. I think what's missing is the people who are moving or going into the City of Toronto to work are spending money every single day in those offices, buying coffee, buying Christmas presents, buying presents, and doing their shopping prior to coming back to the 905. I would seriously hope that Mayor Tory and the City of Toronto do what they did in 2013, which was reject tolls. Look at the KPMG report, which Sarah probably knows very well about, that was issued in June of this year, which showed revenues from parking, revenues from alcohol tax, revenue from other sources were far more greater than what this toll would do. And it wouldn't be taking money from the 905 to give to the City of Toronto. So,
Sarah, what would you? I just want to remind our viewers who don't live in Toronto, this national show, the 905, is the suburban area around the City of Toronto that rings like a half moon around the City of Toronto. So, what would you say to that, Sarah?
I'm going to put on my mother's hat here. I'm going to address what Chair Anderson said, and he talked about how Toronto should be paying for the needs of Toronto Transit. The fact is, we have people coming in and out of Toronto. We're not just one city versus another. We're an entire region, and we have to start acting that way. Mayor Tory has stood up and said the right thing. He said it's time we all pay, and I'm a big believer in that. But I also think that we have to look at the future. We can't keep shoving on the cost of our infrastructure onto our children and onto our grandchildren. And unfortunately, politicians have been saying this again and again. Oh, we shouldn't have to pay. Well, I think it's time we start saying it's time to pay.
And Roger, I mean, there are a lot of studies that have shown that by having a toll, you're actually going to reduce congestion, in many cities around the world. So it'll probably be an easier commute for people who live in the suburbs to get in and out because there may be more transit, or there will be fewer cars on the road, or there will be more people carpooling or finding other ways to get in and around the city. What would you say to that?
I would hope it will be an easier commute, because businesses that are in Toronto that employ, I would suggest a majority of 905 people will look to move outside of the city of Toronto into the 905.
Because of paying $2? Because of paying $2?
I think for Sarah to suggest that it's all one big city, if that's the case, then let Metrolinx do this. Let Metrolinx share the wealth with the 905, so we get the same transit initiatives and funding that the City of Toronto gets. How come the 905, Sarah, is going to pay double the cost for Presto than the City of Toronto?
And
Don't
so
tell me because your transit system is better. It's not. It's just as full. You don't have the system in place to handle less cars on the road. This is just a 905 tax.
So Sarah, and the Metrolinx is the regional transit authority, just so people know. And so what do you say to that?
And what Metrolinx is doing is called Regional Express Rail. They're putting a lot of money into that. So this is Express Rail going out to the regions. They're paying for that. There's so much work that Metrolinx is doing and giving to the regions. And I do believe it's time we come together as a region. To be a strong region, we need to do that. We're one of the only cities in the world that doesn't have road tolls.
All right. It was good to speak to you both. Thank you both very much. It's certainly a hot debate in the country's biggest city. Thank you both. Sarah Thompson is the CEO of Transit Alliance, and Roger Anderson is the chair of the Regional Municipality of Durham, which is just east of Toronto.